Sorry, I'm checking through right now. I've had a lot of questions about the ab workouts, and I think that I did a little bit of a goof up on when I put the workouts into the Kajabi system. So the workouts, the ab workouts for the first week should be done on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It doesn't say it in the Kajabi. But there should be a link that says do an ab workout here, an ultimate ab workout, and then you go to the ultimate ab program and do one of the protocols from the ultimate abs. So you should definitely not be doing an ab program every day. Every other day in the first week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And by the next day or so, I'll get that fixed. That's totally on me. Sorry about that. The Kajabi is a system. It's fantastic for interaction, but it requires us to do all the work twice, and that has fallen through the cracks. So that's part of what we're going to fix in the next day or so. So sorry about that. Play for friends. And yeah, I'm looking through to see that it doesn't. I can't find any of the ab links either. So sorry, I will fix that as quickly as I possibly can. Sorry, Douglas. There's like 6 people have emailed me about the exact same question, and I kept thinking they're in there. They're in the Kajabi. I don't know why they're not seeing it, but it for some reason they're not there. Excellent. Welcome, by the way, everyone, to the live stream. I'll be on here for a little bit of time. So ask me your questions that you have now, and then we'll get started. Let me know if everyone has been able to figure out their TDEE, because that's really important. And the hardest part about that for most people is to estimate their body fat percentage. So if you really have no idea what your body fat percentage is, the best way and the easiest way is probably electroimpedance. That's the scale that you see at Bed Bath & Beyond, or your gym probably has one. You either a scale that you step on or one of those handheld devices that measures it. What it does is it sends a very low wattage electrical current through your body and measures how fast it goes to the other side. And then by that, it can figure out what it's gone through, whether it's body fat, muscle, or fat, and can give you, and it's plus or minus 5%, but that's about what you're going to get for most things, calipers. It's not as accurate, obviously, as hydrostatic weighing, but it's the best that we have that we can do without having to have to go to a center. So that's where I would start. Is if you don't have access to an electroimpedance, the next best thing I would say is to do circumference. I'm trying to link this. Like, here's one that's pretty good. And if you measure certain parts of your body and put it in this calculator, it will give you something that is not quite as accurate as the electroimpedance, but it will give you more ballpark. And that will help you with your TDE numbers and make sure that you have a good body fat percentage. If you underestimate or overestimate that, it's going to put your calories off by, it could be off by 100 or 200, depending on which way you misrepresented your body fat. So as accurate as that can be, the better. If you want to go to Amazon and get one of those body fat scales, better. You probably are going to need one at some point. So I would recommend to do that. They're not terribly expensive. And yes, that is a cat. I have 2 cats. Hey, tell me, Corey, the abs program, I dealt with that. So here's your deals with your carbs. Is on your low carb day, especially, you're going to want to eat most of your carbs right after your workout, either before or after, and those 2 windows right surrounding the workout. And then for the first meal and the one late, depending on when you work out, the other meals of the day, to have as low carbs as possible. That's going to be an easier way for you to make your low carb days. And your high carb days, you have a little bit more leeway, so you can have a little bit more with each meal. But the low carb days, it can be very tough sometimes to if you If you overeat the carbs at one of those other meals and then try and get the carbs after your workout, you're going to go over. So it's that's going to be a real tip for you, is to think about when I work out, I've depleted all my liver glycogen. And the first thing your body's going to do is take the calories that you eat right after your workout. It's going to replace the body sugar. So any carbs that you eat at that time get metabolized very quickly. Where when you eat carbs at the other parts of the day, let's say you eat carbs for breakfast, and then your body uses some of them to do what you're doing, but it doesn't use all of them. It's just gonna say, oh, these are great. We'll just store them as fat. So we don't want that to happen. So try and eat them as, around your workout. Second, any assigned tempo for the lifts recommended? It's a great question, Douglas, for the tempo. I try not to get too complicated with the tempos. So, but here's my rule of thumb is you never want to be like drop and popping the workouts. If you see a guy who's dropping and popping or swinging or throwing the weight, I never recommend that for anyone. There's a very small window of people who can do that in a way that's going to be effective for them. They are very advanced lifters. For most people, they're just swinging the weights and they're not really engaging the muscle. So I would say what it says after each of the workout of the tempo should be controlled on the positive and negative phase. So it's a weight that I can lift up to the full extent, squeeze and resist down all the way through the range of motion without using any momentum or swinging or letting the weight drop. So a second note on the tempo is when you're doing the negative, which is whenever you're resisting gravity. So if I'm doing a press, like if I'm doing a bench press, I'm resisting gravity as the weight comes towards my body. Or if I'm doing a push-up, it's as I'm lowering towards the floor. If I'm doing a pull-up, the negative is as I'm lowering myself down. Whenever you're doing the negative, you want to really resist. That actually has more benefits than the positive part of the lifting. The actual squeezing and pushing away is not as effective for building muscle and for getting your gains as much as the negative part. So really controlled tempo, no swinging, and no momentum. That's what I'd say for the temp segment. That's a great question, by the way. Have you on in the background while I'm working out, but I'm sure I'll think questions as we go. Steven, okay, great. And here's another thing that I think that you're going to want to really, I was telling Charlton, who's doing the program, is he was a little lost with his food prep. And so what I tell people when they first start is buy the foods that you normally eat. Don't try and say, okay, I'm on a diet and now I'm going to do this radically different way of eating that I've never done before. Try and see what the meals that you like, that you eat, and actually measure and weigh them. Weigh the food, measure it out, find out how many calories it is, how many protein, how many fat. Some of the things that you eat may fit into your macros and you may be able to eat them. Or you could eat them with small tweaks. Hey, this is a little high in fat, but if I take the cheese out, or if I don't put any sauces on it, then it does fit into my macros. And so you can adapt slightly, or some of those foods will actually fit in. When you're starting to do a diet, I hate that word, is people try to do this radical departure from the way that they live and the way that they eat. And that just sets you up for failure, is that you have shifted out of something. Now you're doing something completely foreign and different to you that you are not going to be able to maintain. And so at some point you're thinking, okay, well, now I'm going to go back to what I was doing, which doesn't work. And that's how people get on that yo-yo swing. Okay, well, now I'm going to do it all right. And yes, I see some results, but it's too hard. And now I'm going to go and do this wrong. And now I'm swinging back the other way. So it's better for you to see how you can adapt, and you'll be surprised that a lot of the foods that you eat, as long as you have them in moderation, will fit into your macros. And so then you feel like this is the lifestyle, is that if I have these two meals, which are clean and maybe not the best, but then I can have for dinner, I can have this thing that I like, and my lifestyle is not impacted. It becomes something that you can maintain in the long term. That's going to be really important going forward. So, when you're constructing your diet, weigh it and measure it first, and then see how you have to adapt it. Then thoughts on adding in cardio of some sort during the first part of the challenge. So, hi Douglas, I don't know if you've looked through later, cardio gets added in more and more as the challenge goes. In the first part of the challenge, if you're following the workout that's part of this program, it's a lot. It's most people don't work out as much as this is going to ask you to. So I wanted to ramp you in slowly. Otherwise, your body could have some really adverse effects of just, I don't want to tweak anything or get you into an overtraining right out of the gate, or just overwhelm you with, oh my God, I don't even know if I can do this. The start slow, and then as you're starting to get used to it over the next couple of weeks, the cardio you'll see is added in. It starts to get added in at the end, right in week 2, for sure. And then by weeks 5 and 6, we're doing cardio twice a day. So it will turn out to be a lot of cardio. Is there a certain protein powder that I recommend? Here's what I say when you're looking for protein powder is look on the back of the label, and you have to see what is it you're trying to do with your protein powder. For me, I'm just trying to get protein. So I want to look at what is going to be low in carbs, low to moderate, not a super high amount of fat, and between 20 and 40 grams of protein. You want to be very careful of these weight gainer shakes or these meal replacement shakes, because sometimes it will say protein powder, but it's actually a meal replacement. And the meal replacement is going to be too many calories, and it's not going to be in the right breakdown for what you want to do for weight loss. It's not really, I don't recommend them at all. Even if you're trying to gain, I think there's better ways to do it. So make sure that you look on the back and make sure that it has, under 5, so that a serving is between 20 and 40 grams of protein, under 5 grams of carbs, low sugar, and of that, make it low sugar. And if it has fat, under 10 for sure, under 5 would be better. And you can find some like Isopure is no carbs, no fat. It's just protein. And so that's really convenient. It doesn't taste great. I don't mind it, but I have definitely, it has a little taste to it that not everyone likes. If you want one that tastes great, like Muscle Milk, you have to look in the back. The Muscle Milk is actually pretty high in fat, and so it may not work into your specific macros, depending. So when when you're designing a nutrition program like this, every body is different. Every person's what their body needs is different. So we need to tweak that just a little bit. And so someone who is my size, like for instance, my TDEE is 3,500 calories a day. So I have a lot more leeway than a 5'2", 140-pound woman whose TDEE is 1,800. So for her to get her meals in and to stay under her calories, she has to be much more careful about the foods. I have a lot of calories that I can spend, and so obviously I have to make good choices as well. But it's easier in some ways for me because I have a higher TDEE. So that's going to come into play with your protein powder a lot. Is you don't want to waste some of those fat and carbs because those become precious, especially on your low carb day. It's real easy to go over your carbs, and on the high carb day, it's really easy to go over your fat. So you're going to have to really be careful on those. Huron, I'm saying hi. Hey, Andrew. Enjoying this. I'll toss in a question. Got my food prep figured out. Any thoughts as to do this while also being vegan? So vegan is very tough, and you just have to be very aware of how you're going to get your protein in. And most trying to say this in a way that's not going to be offensive. Most companies who market to vegans, not putting that in quotes, most companies who market to vegans, it's actually just high carb, high fat. So it can taste great. It can have a lot of creamy consistency. It can have a lot of, it can be very palatable, but nutrition wise, they're making it that way by making it very high carb and high fat. So while that may be fantastic for you for staying vegan, it's not fantastic for your waistline. And so you're going to have to really find ways to get your vegan protein in. You're going to have to go for a lot of soy, mostly. You can do. I've done pea protein before, pea protein protein powder. So that's another option for you. But yeah, definitely. You can email me questions, Andrew, if you have questions about specific types of protein, and we'll go through it. Joshua, hello from Singapore. Problems hitting my protein goals. What's keeping? Well, keeps him in the fat amount. Yeah. So he's saying, like what I was saying, is that on your low carb day, it's easy to go over on the carbs, but on the high carb day, if it's very hard to stay under fat. And he's saying that he's hard hitting his protein without going over his fat. So I don't know if you heard me talking about your protein powder, but that's going to be a great way for you to get 20 or 30, 40 grams of protein in without adding a lot of fat. You can find protein powders, like I said, with Isopure, a Pure Protein, On Protein. They sell that at Costco. That's 35 grams of protein, and it is, I think it's under 5 carbs and under 5 fat. So those are great ways to get a chunk of the protein. You have to think that it seems like this is a high protein diet and it's higher protein than maybe you're used to eating, but it's still, you're really only getting about 25% of your calories from protein. It's not a super high protein diet. So you should be able to hit these protein numbers. If you're not eating lean protein, if you're having ribeye steak, or you might want to think about eating fish or chicken as protein options. It'll be a little bit less in fat. And all of those can be searched when you search in your MyFitnessPal, or your macro app. Put in the type of food or type of meat that you're having, because that will adjust the fat for you. And this is a great time. Here's the thing on food prep and on finding your macros. This is a great time for you at some point in your life. If you want to be in control of what your body is doing, at some point in your life, you're going to have to count your calories. It is not something that you have to do for your whole life, but it is something that you have to do at some point so that you can start seeing, okay, when I eat the things that I eat, when I eat chicken, this is how much chicken is. This is 30 grams of chicken, 30 grams of protein, and 8 grams of fat. This steak right here, this is 50 grams of protein of steak. And you see the size of it. So that when you are ordering out in a restaurant or when you go through your life, you can start to gauge, okay, that's the size of things I should be eating. If you look in the guide, it does have like a fist. It has carbs that should be as big as your hand, and fat should be as big as your thumb. Those are great rules of thumb. No pun intended. But I really do recommend that you should get a food scale and really look up, really say, okay, this is 14 ounces of steak pre-cooked. I really look up the calories. I'm putting in 1 tablespoon of butter, and that is this many calories. So you're never going to be able to track it if you don't measure it. And guessing is not measuring. So weigh it, measure it, write it in, every single thing. Don't forget about sauces and dressings, especially if you're ordering it out, is that you have to think that, oh yeah, I ordered chicken breast. Well, they cooked it in something, but they put something on the grill so that it wouldn't stick to the grill. You have to ask what it was. Did they use cooking oil? Probably. It's the highest fat, saturated fat oil, and it's cheap. That's probably what they use. If they use butter, probably they want it to taste good. So make sure to add in all of those hidden sauces. It'll make a big difference. My protein, today's workout was fun. Oh, good. Should we be adding weight as the reps go down? So he's asking if you should add weight. The trick for adding weight is I want you to get all of the reps of every set throughout this entire program. So when you're getting to your fourth set or fifth set in some of these, or sixth set, if you're failing, then you didn't do it right. I don't want you to fail. I want you to get it. That being said, if you get it and you think, well, I could have done 10 more of those, it was too late. So start trying to judge on what is it where I'm doing my last rep and I'm really thinking I probably couldn't have done another rep. That's going to be your ultimate goal, is all of the reps prescribed at a weight where you couldn't have done one more within the prescribed rest. So the rests are short. When you go your first set, the first set should feel like, yeah, I could have done a lot more. That's fine. By the fourth set, you're not getting as much rest, and that's when you want to be able to continue doing the reps with good form. So you won't be able to judge if the weight is too heavy or too light until those later sets. If you feel like you did the fourth set and you're like, I definitely could have done more on that fourth set, it was too light. And so then make a note, because the next time you do that exercise, to go heavier. Okay, was fine. Do you have a recommended supplement list or a don't bother list? Currently, I take a multivitamin, vitamin D, fish oil, creatine, daily plus ZMA before bed. Those are all great. Those are the supplements, exactly the supplements that I would say if you're going to take them, take them. Take a multivitamin for sure. Vitamin D for sure. Fish oil for sure. If you want to take creatine, it's the only supplement that's been proven to work to increase muscle size. So if that's one of your goals, go for it. Especially the new ones now, because they don't really cause any water retention or weight gain. The way that they formulate creatine nowadays. So those are exactly it. If it's anything else, it most likely doesn't work, or it is the benefit is so minor that it's not at this point in your fitness career, it's not worth the time or money. It's like, your ship, you're trying to keep the ship afloat and you're worried about if the napkins in the dining room are folded the correct way. It's not that it isn't a thing that you could think about. It's that there are so many other big things you could be thinking about and spending your time on that are going to actually directly impact you and getting you towards your goals. That whether I'm taking, I had a person asking me about CLA. I've tried it. I've had clients try it. I've never been able to see any appreciable difference by taking it or not taking it. If you look at the literature, there's so many scientific studies, and there are some that say that they claim these things. It's a lot of them are in animals, not in people. And then you'll have the next study that says they did the exact same test and they got the exact opposite result. So it's for me is if keeping within your macros and eating good whole foods is going to be, that's 99% of your problem. The CLA is 1%. So that's where you could put your focus and time into making sure you're making really good food choices of quality foods and eating consistently throughout the day. This is not on there, but I had somebody else asking me about intermittent fasting, which is something that you can do. It's not in this diet program because I didn't want to get too confusing with the high carb days and low carb days and intermittent fasting. If it's something that you're used to doing and you want to incorporate it in, it's fine. I recommend about a 14-hour fast. And then you still have to make sure that you get the same macros that are in the program in your eating window. So that may change the spacing of your food a little bit. And remember, on your you want to be eating most of your carbs around your workout. So depending on when your workout is, all of that's going to come into play a lot more when you do intermittent fasting. So just be aware and plan ahead. All right. We've had some great questions. We're coming up on almost an hour. Let me know if there's anything else that I haven't addressed. Like I said, you're welcome to email me. I'll get back to you if you have a specific question that's specific to you. And I really appreciate you guys all joining me, and I look forward to seeing all of your before and after pictures. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you. I'm going to do this next week as well. So if you don't have questions that I get to between now and then, you can jump on next week and ask them. All right, guys. Good luck.